Led Zeppelin are often remembered as untouchable giants of rock history. Four musicians, seemingly immune to doubt, second thoughts, or regret. But behind the mythology, even Led Zeppelin had moments they wished they could erase. And for John Paul Jones, the band's quiet architect, there is one song he has openly described as buttock-clenchingly embarrassing. Not because it failed commercially, not because fans rejected it, but because, in hindsight, it represented something deeply uncomfortable, a moment when experimentation crossed into excess. John Paul Jones was the most understated member of Led Zeppelin, but also one of its most important. A classically trained musician, arranger, and multi-instrumentalist, Jones was responsible for much of the band's musical sophistication. While Jimmy Page chased riffs and Robert Plant embodied raw expression, Jones brought structure, harmony, and restraint. Which makes it all the more curious that the song he later disowned was one of Led Zeppelin's most unrestrained moments. The song was The Crunge. What was The Crunge? Released in 1973 on Houses of the Holy, The Crunge stood apart from almost everything Led Zeppelin had ever done. Wasn't heavy blues, it wasn't mystical folk, it wasn't epic rock. Instead, it was Led Zeppelin attempting funk. The song was built around a tight, choppy rhythm inspired by James Brown, specifically tracks like Take Me to the Bridge. Robert Plant even jokingly ad-libbed references to the bridge throughout the song. On paper, it sounded playful. In practice, it was awkward. Years later, John Paul Jones admitted that hearing the track made him physically uncomfortable. The kind of embarrassment that makes you tense up without realizing it, hence his now famous description. At the time, Led Zeppelin were experimenting freely. They were at the height of their power, commercially unstoppable and creatively fearless. Nothing was off limits. Jones has explained that The Crunge started as a rhythm experiment, a groove exercise that snowballed into a finished track. But unlike Zeppelin's other experiments, this one never fully found its identity. The band was playing around funk rather than inside it. For Jones, a musician who deeply respected structure and authenticity, that mattered. With time, he came to see The Crunge not as homage, but as something closer to parody, unintentionally so. Why the embarrassment? John Paul Jones has never suggested that The Crunge was poorly played. The musicianship was there, the timing was tight, the idea was bold, the embarrassment came from tone. Led Zeppelin were outsiders to funk, and Jones later felt the song exposed that fact rather than transcending it. What once felt playful began to feel self-conscious. It didn't age gracefully, at least not to him. And unlike Zeppelin's heavier experiments, this one didn't carry the emotional weight or atmosphere that usually redeemed their risks. Fans versus band memory. Interestingly, many fans don't hate The Crunge. Some enjoy its looseness, others appreciate its place as a snapshot of a band willing to try anything. A few even consider it a cult favorite. But artists often hear their work differently than listeners. Where fans hear curiosity, Jones hears discomfort. Where fans hear groove, he hears imitation. It's the difference between experiencing a song and remembering how it came to exist. Why Zeppelin never played it live. Led Zeppelin famously avoided playing The Crunge in concert. Unlike other deep cuts, it was quietly abandoned. No extended jams, no reinvention on stage, no attempt to redeem it through performance. That silence speaks volumes. For a band known to stretch songs into 30-minute epics, The Crunge remained locked in the studio, frozen in time, unresolved. Led Zeppelin almost never spoke negatively about their own catalog. That's what makes John Paul Jones's honesty so striking. He didn't dismiss the song politely. He didn't hide behind humor. He owned his discomfort. In doing so, he revealed something rare in rock history: vulnerability. Even legends have moments they outgrow. What The Crunge really represents. In the end, The Crunge isn't a failure, it's a document. A snapshot of a band at its peak, experimenting without fear, and occasionally misjudging the landing. For John Paul Jones, it's a reminder that freedom doesn't always lead to clarity, and perhaps that's why the song still makes him wince, because it proves something important. Even Led Zeppelin weren't immune to embarrassment. They were human, and sometimes that's the most honest legacy of all.